Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from Deltiasgaming.com. I've got to admit, I was totally sleeping on a new set, Overland, from Deadlands Update 32, and I want to share with you what I've learned. That's Kynmarcher's Cruelty, one of the strongest PvP sets in the game. Think of it as an offensive Daedric Trickery type set. It comes in heavy armor, so it can work well with magic or stamina-based builds. Hybrid, you name it. It just works. In this video, I'm going to explain how it works, how to obtain it, why you should use it, and sample builds regardless of the class you play. If there's one thing I've learned about ESO patches, there's always some new OP set, and this might be the one. Thanks for watching. So Kynmarcher's Cruelty is a heavy armor set that you can obtain in the Deadlands zone, update 32. 2-piece max health, 3-piece stam recovery, and the 4-piece armor. The 5-piece is a little bit difficult to explain, but I'm going to do my best. When you deal direct damage, which is the majority of attacks, you apply one of 5 random major debuffs to enemies within 8 meters of you for 18 seconds. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds and only if the player is in range. Eligible debuffs are Major Breach, Major Cowardice, Major Defile, Major Maim, and Major Vulnerability. Let's break this down a little bit further. First thing that sticks out to me is 8-meter radius. That is massive. This is not a single target debuff. Moreover, the debuff lasts a long duration, 18 seconds. Not as long as Daedric Trickery, but 18-second debuff that's a massive AoE? That's huge. You'll also notice that it says this effect can occur once every 8 seconds if the enemy isn't with range. So when the buff lasts 18 seconds, if it can occur every 8 seconds, you can stack multiple effects on top of each other. It goes further for eligible debuffs, and essentially, if you don't know, I'm going to read these off to you. Major Breach decreases target's physical and spell resistance by 5,948. Major Cowardice reduces the target's weapon damage and spell damage by 430. Major Defile reduces target's heal and taken by 16%. Major Maim reduces damage dealt by 10%, and Major Vulnerability, previously locked to the Necro, increased damage taken by 10%. So if you take a look at these debuffs, essentially you have 3 defensive ones and 2 offensive ones, with Major Vulnerability being the huge one. And again, you can have multiple debuffs proc on one single target or multiple. Keep in mind that you can proc the same exact effect 1 out of 5, so you might be able to proc Major Breach, then a few seconds later proc it again. It's also direct damage, which is the majority of attacks, especially ultimate. So think the heavy hitter attacks being direct damage. If it does it in an 8-meter radius, it's absolutely huge. The downside of it is it's harder to overlap than, say, Daedric Trickery. So overlapping 2 debuffs is easy. Overlapping 3 is very, very hard, especially outside of a duel. Now that I got you convinced this is a useful, worthwhile set to collect, how do you obtain it? This is an Overland set, so if you don't want to go farm it yourself, you can just go buy it from traders. In fact, I bought a bunch of pieces, heavy on the body, 3 pieces, and a weapon, a flame staff, for less than 100,000 gold because people really are farming this and they don't understand just how powerful it is. In case you want to farm it, it's an Overland set in the new zone, and Delve bosses drop waist and feet, world bosses drop head, chest, legs, and weapons, while public dungeon bosses drop shoulders, hands, and weapons. Chest will drop rings and necklace. So why should you use this set? Well, it's very simple and easy to obtain, and it's flexible regardless of the class you play. It not only benefits you, but it benefits the group. The debuffs are going to do one of 2 things, offensive or defensive. So once you obtain these item sets, here's a sample build that I've been using currently on my Magic dragonknight, minus the trait change on the weapon. On Magic builds, what I've been running is 4 heavy with 3 light. Kynmarchers on the chest, legs, and gloves with a heavy helm to get the most armor rating. Going with a lot of impenetrable trait with reinforce on the chest. Prismatic glyphs on the large pieces, head, chest, and legs, with magic on the rest. Going 1-piece trainee on the body for a little bit extra max stat. So we have 3 Kynmarchers on the body, and then we have a fire Kynmarcher's staff, so it's active on our front bar with the sharpened trait. You may want to swap out this trait depending on the class. Specifically, Dragonknight benefits from 100% spell penetration with corrosive armor, but in general, sharpen is a good one, along with the fire flame glyph. You also can use whatever monster helm of choice, and Bloodspawn is my go-to on the Dragonknight right now for the ultimate generation generation. You know the usual suspects here. Magma Incarnate, 2-piece monster helm, good resource sustain. Solo, it's great, has some group utility giving you spell and weapon damage along with extra resistances. Engine Guardian for a lot of resources, and good old Balorgs for crazy powerful burst. That leaves the back bar defensive set, and why not use Daedric Trickery, which has essentially the same mechanisms. Daedric Trickery, you can proc a defensive major buff, and you can overlap these as well. The way I have it set up here on my magic build is sword and shield, though you could use a resto or whatever you'd like. 2 jewelry, 2 for the back bar weapon, and then 1 on the body along with 1 trainee, leaving just the mythic in the ring. My preferred is Death Dealer's Fate, but there's a lot of alternatives here. You can use Torque, Malachas, just to name a few. And then the traits on the jewelry infuse with spell damage, but you can mix them up however you like. And for a stamina build, we have another gear chart here. I prefer Magma Incarnate on stamina builds, and so I like the 2 heavy on the chest and legs with the Kynmarchers on the necklace. That way I can craft the Daedric Trickery on the body, still get 5 medium, so I have access to use Shuffle for immobilizations and major evasion. Magma Incarnate is my preferred monster helm on stam builds. You're still going to use 1-piece trainee, Daedric Trickery or another defensive set that you like on the back bar, and then good old Death Dealer's Fate. The only changes here I make is the trait. I like Swift on stam builds. You already have a lot of amps for weapon damage with the agility passive, so it doesn't make sense for me to go that route. With the Swift trait, I get almost the same benefit as Wild Hunt, but just for the cost of 2 traits on my jewelry. Then with stam builds, I do like a bit of well-fitted, so 3 well-fitted works best for me, and the same glyph pattern. Head, chest, and legs prismatic to get the most stats out of it, along with stamina on the rest. You can use a 2H front bar sword, or you can use dual wield with the back bar 2H, however you do it. This is just a sample that's been working very, very well. I'd say give Kynmarchers a chance. It has incredible debuffs. Either they're going to do less damage and hit like a noodle, or you're going to hit extremely hard. It not only applies to you, but it has a group advantage as well, in an 8-meter radius that can proc quite frequently, and the ability to stack them on top of each other. Major debuffs, it's a win-win. Not to mention it's overland. You can go farm the sets, you don't have to do no trials, no dungeons, or you can buy it dirt cheap off the traders. Total sleeper set here. I missed it on the public test server, and now that I've been using it on my dragonknight, I absolutely love it. Hopefully you learned something out of this video. Still working on my magic dragonknight before I perfect it and release that video, but I wanted to share this with you in case you're looking for a set that can work with pretty much any and all classes, whether it's stamina or magicka. This is the one. Kynmarchers, it's really, really good. Thanks for watching.